I wanted to show a little bit like the piece that I'm more well known for. So people can eventually connect with my work, and also two bodies of work that are the latest ones. It is my first exhibition in Taiwan and also in this part of Asia. So because it's a very interesting title, it talks about like the moon, of course, because of the Afronauts, the crust. It's like different layers of the Earth, and the Earth as a planet. How you stay in the crust, so in the surface, in the center, but also in the moon. So it has to do with the fact that the Earth is a planet and how we can differently approach it. Because I have the background in documentary photography and photojournalism, my topics and the topics that I address and talk about in my works are always the topics you can find in a newspaper or find in documentary world. So one is Africa and the perception of Africa, that normally is the house of violence and poverty and how it is stigmatized. So for me, I wanted to contrast it with the reality, and I started looking for anecdotes or stories in Africa in 1964. It's right after they became independent from the United Kingdom, and they wanted to show the world that they were as big and important as the two big and important countries at the time, that is United States and the Soviet Union, who were at the time they were in the middle of the space race. So they just decided to start a space program as well. It was really just an anecdote of Zambia history, because the space program didn't really happen. So when I discovered the story, that it was a lie, that I wanted to reproduce that first reaction that I had, that actually shows that myself had a lot of prejudice towards Africa, because I couldn't believe they could do a space program. So what I did is to document how I imagine it. So in doing so, I could really just document the stereotypes about Africa. Then we have environments and global warming and all the information and news we have around the change of cycles in the world. It's a series that I did together with my partner, Bruno Moraes, who's a Brazilian photographer, because we used to live in the jungle in Brazil, in the jungle of Bahia, and our house was literally in the middle of the jungle. Dynamic between the objects that are part of culture and the nature itself. So we started more like maybe documenting that, but almost in a performative way, because a lot of animals enter the house, a lot of insects, a lot of different animals enter the house. And we started playing with them and putting like pictures in the background, making them interact more directly with the objects. Really like looking for things and making this dialogue to create images that could really show the contrast between culture and nature. So Journey to the Center is the last project that it's about migration, and migration is a universal topic and sometimes a political topic in almost all the countries of the world at this time. And I wanted to focus on that, on the courage. It would be easier to understand and to empathize with them. So that's the political frame of the work. But in practical terms, what I did was to document the Central American route, especially the migrants who travel across Mexico to reach the United States. So I present this journey across Mexico from the south border to the north border as an adventure. So I play with magical realism, with symbolism. So I try to create images that actually get the audience's attention so they can think again about migration from different terms. So what I do basically when I transitioned from documentary to what I do now is to keep the topics but expand my language and allow myself to borrow things from fiction so I can explain this topic without the limitations of documentary language.